Job Wars, Canadian youth struggle as immigrant hiring surges. Welcome back to Canada Chronicles. Today we're diving into a growing crisis that affects students, workers, and families across the country. Canada's youth unemployment has hit its highest point in more than a decade, and the pressure is sparking what many are calling a job war. Behind the numbers is a bigger story about why young Canadians are struggling to find work, how shifting immigration and labor policies shape the competition, and what that means for the future of Canada's job market. Stay tuned until the very end, because we'll uncover something most people haven't even considered. The invisible collision. When delays push workers out of status and youth out of the queue. This hidden fallout reveals how policy bottlenecks are reshaping opportunities in ways that surprise both newcomers and Canadian youth. If you value fact-based updates that go beyond the headlines, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the insights that could impact your future. Let's get started. Youth unemployment is spiking, and it's hitting students hard. In July 2025, unemployment for Canadians aged 15 to 24 hit 14.6%, the highest since the early 2010s outside the pandemic years. Returning students faced an average of 17.9% unemployment across the summer, the worst since 2009. National unemployment in August was 7.1%, but young workers were hit harder, especially in part-time and seasonal roles that usually give students their first job opportunities. The perception of a job war. It's easy to think immigrant hiring has exploded, but the truth in 2025 is different. International student arrivals dropped by about 70% compared with 2024, and new work permit arrivals fell by roughly half. Even so, competition feels fierce because the stock of temporary residents from previous years remains high. The federal government has pledged to reduce temporary residents to around 5% of the population, but this will take years to filter through. That means fewer newcomers may be arriving, yet existing workers with valid permits are still competing for the same jobs that students rely on. Policy whiplash, caps, thresholds, and hiring freezes. Since September 2024, the government has refused to process low-wage labor market impact assessments in any city with unemployment above 6%. By July 2025, this applied to 26 cities. The Temporary Foreign Worker Program also raised wage thresholds in June 2025, shifting which roles qualify as high or low wage. For youth, these rules cut both ways. They are designed to protect local opportunities, but many entry-level jobs are disappearing entirely. Employers are reducing hours, delaying hiring, or automating positions. Industries such as logistics, manufacturing, and hospitality still need workers, but remain cautious, leaving fewer openings at the bottom rung. The demand-side slump. The job market itself is weak. Employment has declined in professional and technical services, transportation and warehousing, and manufacturing. Part-time roles, the traditional entry point for teenagers, are fewer. Regional numbers show the same trend. Alberta's unemployment rose to 8.4% in August 2025, Ontario to 7.7%, and British Columbia to 6.2%. Employers in these provinces are freezing hiring, and when choices are limited, young workers with less experience often lose out first. Beyond immigration, other hidden headwinds. Blaming immigrants alone ignores other pressures. Businesses slowed hiring as interest rates stayed high and consumers pulled back. Processing times for work permits and LMIA approvals lengthened, keeping workplaces uncertain. Many youth also lack the skills employers demand, while immigrants often work below their training levels just to make ends meet. Processing delays have been especially damaging. Approval times for LMIA applications roughly tripled between 2023 and 2025, leaving some workers without valid status. Employers then postpone hiring altogether, cutting opportunities that would otherwise go to students. The numbers behind immigrant hiring. Immigrants are still highly visible in entry-level jobs, especially in cities and near campuses. But the inflow in 2025 is smaller. With study permits capped, fewer students are arriving, and a higher share of new arrivals are work permit holders. That makes the newcomers who are entering more likely to be job-ready adults, intensifying competition for the same retail and service jobs that young Canadians chase. The government has also published clear targets. 673,650 temporary residents in 2025, then fewer in the years ahead. Permanent resident numbers are being trimmed as well. These shifts are intended to ease pressure, but because the stock of existing temporary residents is still large, the labor market feels just as tight. Why youth feel singled out? The summer job that once funded tuition and rent is harder to find. Employers are dividing limited hours among more staff or replacing entry roles with automation. Small businesses are demanding workers who can hit the ground running. When a posting appears, a student is not just competing with peers, but also with older workers, recent graduates, and experienced temporary residents. Every small edge, Canadian work history, references, flexible hours, matters. At the same time, Canada struggles to accurately count non-permanent residents. Without solid data, it is harder to design youth employment programs or hiring incentives that address the real problem. Two realities to keep in mind. First, youth unemployment is historically high and unacceptable. Second, 2025 has not brought a surge of immigrant arrivals. The frustration many Canadians feel is the result of a weak economy, processing delays, employer caution, and the continued presence of a large temporary resident population. Where policy is headed next, the government's refusal to process MAP will continue shifting with unemployment rates. Wage thresholds will keep nudging employers away from low-wage hires in struggling regions. The share of temporary residents will decline slowly, but not overnight. At the same time, asylum claims and refugee hearings are backlogged, adding to the sense that the immigration system is under strain, even if those pressures don't directly affect student jobs. Thanks for staying with us this far. We appreciate your time and hope you're finding this information valuable. The invisible collision, when delays push workers out of status and youth out of the queue. Here is the hidden collision most Canadians don't see. Processing delays and shifting policies don't just reduce the number of arrivals. They also create instability in workplaces. When employers cannot renew a worker's permit on time, they cut hours or leave roles vacant. Those positions might otherwise cycle to students or first-time job seekers. The LMIA freeze in 26 high unemployment regions forces employers to either raise wages, restructure positions, or leave them unfilled. For youth, a vacancy that never opens feels like losing out to someone else. Multiply that across dozens of cities and the frustration becomes deeply personal. The shift in composition adds to the challenge. With fewer international students and more work permit holders among newcomers, the competition that does exist is more experienced and immediately employable. For an 18-year-old trying to land a first job, that is an uphill battle. A practical playbook to ease the job war. Speed up LMIA and work permit processing with automatic extensions when delays threaten legal status. Faster decisions stabilize workplaces and keep entry-level ladders open. Target youth directly where they work. Provide wage subsidies and training credits in retail, hospitality, recreation, and warehousing. Offer short certifications in food safety, logistics software, or point-of-sale systems to give youth the skills employers want. Link immigration levers to local labor markets. If youth unemployment spikes in a city, tilt LMIA approvals and employer supports toward local youth hiring. Publish transparent data on non-permanent residents so policymakers know where to act. Enforce labor standards in the temporary foreign worker program to prevent exploitation and wage undercutting. Expand co-op programs and paid internships so students graduate with real experience and can compete on equal ground. Finally, be realistic. Fewer newcomers are arriving in 2025, but the existing stock remains large and the economy is weak. Rebuilding a healthy youth job market will take time and deliberate action. Canada has been transparent about its immigration goals. Now it needs equally clear youth employment targets. The reality is clear. Canada's youth are facing the toughest job market in years. High unemployment, policy shifts, and processing delays have created a perfect storm of frustration. But by understanding the forces at play, Canada can take steps to make the system fairer for both young Canadians and newcomers. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like, share it with others who need to know the truth, and drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to Canada Chronicles and turn on notifications so you'll always stay ahead of the latest immigration and job market updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.